The following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
The reports of my demise were totally unfounded. Somebody said, I saw your name in the paper, in the obituaries. No, that wasn't me. That was a guy who was 89 years old. He had the same age as me, different age than me, 89. So I am here live, in person. I'm not dead yet. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I am John DeMasi, alive and well, and ready to talk to you for the next 3 hours here on Talk with a Purpose. Nothing to talk about today. Oh, I get letters, I get emails, I get everything, but at least you're listening, you know. One of the things that has been floated around, and Joe Yakovich, of course, coming in at 11 o'clock this morning for our biweekly financial checkup. He'll be here at 11, so we're looking forward to that. But I've been floating around this idea, and it's timely because this week we had the Republican nominees debate. Floating around the idea of debates among the callers. And I'm just starting to formulate what I want to do with this. And I have some candidates in mind already, and we'll talk about that later. But we're going to have a debate among our callers before we know it. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your pocket, and we'll see what happens there. But as I said, nothing to talk about today. First, I want to read you this letter. And sometimes people miss the point of what I'm talking about. And last week we talked about the New Jersey Supreme Court decision, the teacher who was unmarried but was pregnant. She was engaged to the guy who was the father of the baby. But this person wrote to me and said that it confuses the children that it's okay to have a baby out of wedlock. That really wasn't the point of what I was saying. I was saying that there was no separation of church and state. And the Murphy administration kind of started that way back in the pandemic when they said you can't have church. You can't go to church. And I remember when Phil Murphy was asked by Tucker Carlson, did you think about the Bill of Rights? He said, it's above my pay grade. And I think that's what happened here, that they weren't conscious of separation of church and state. So that's what we were referring to. And thanks for the person who remained anonymous, but thanks for the letter, and thanks for those words on that subject. As I said at the top of the show, not much to talk about. How about the fourth indictment of Donald Trump? He was actually arrested. Did you see that he put his mugshot? I mean, he went on Twitter for the first time in a year and a half, and his mugshot is all over the place. And he's on T-shirts and sweatshirts and coffee mugs. This guy, say what you want about Donald Trump, but when it comes to marketing, he is a genius. Really. I mean, a lot of other things may be questionable, but this guy's a genius. So he was arrested, but he wasn't put in jail. And I understand that the Fulton County Jail is pretty awful as far as conditions go. Well, what jail is? What is not a country club, all right? As one listener said to me in an email, if they can do it to him, they can do it to just about anybody, and that's probably true. Oh, by the way, this just in. Fannie Willis, Fulton County DA, has indicted Donald Trump for eating pork roll at a Jewish breakfast. Can't make this stuff up. Imagine being indicted for allegedly, again the key word, allegedly, attempting to influence the election. But what did he really do? He called the Attorney General, said, give me 11,000 votes. Is that worth prosecuting? I mean, I don't think anybody else would be indicted for that. So the question is, what did he do? And here we go again with the mantra, we got to get Trump. We got to get Trump. Of course, they indicted all of his cronies, Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows and all of those. They were all indicted this time. And true to form, Trump's fundraising efforts increased. This may end up backfiring on them. Really. But so now there are 4 indictments against Trump. In the meantime, check this out. The chairman of the U.S. House Judiciary Committee has sent a letter to Fulton County DA Fani Willis demanding records and documents related to any communication that she had with federal officials related to her investigation of President Trump and his allies. In other words, is the Justice Department involved in this? Could it be conflict of interest? We don't know. Representative Jim Jordan, he said that he wants to find out whether Willis coordinated with the Department of Justice or the Biden White House as she led an inquiry into whether Trump and others broke the law when they attempted to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, he said things to people. Yeah, find me those votes. They stole the election. But it was all, to me, all noise. I mean, he didn't go in and try to change ballots. I don't think. Do you know of anything like that? I don't. Jordan wrote in his letter that he questions the motivations of Willis and her investigation and the timing of the grand jury's charges now that the 2024 presidential contest is underway. He also characterized the investigation as possibly infringing on the free speech and other constitutional rights of Trump and other defendants. They want to have a trial starting in October. And I understand they have 11,000 pages of documents. How are they going to go through all of that? To me, if it was a legitimate investigation, they would say, maybe we'll do this in 2025, after the election. But no, they want to do it before. Sure, they want to ruin Trump. This is the whole thing. Jordan gave Fani Willis a deadline to get these documents in order of September 7th, which is, I believe, in less than 2 weeks. And he wants answers to those questions that he has. We'll see. But in general, I think it's another witch hunt. What do you think? It just appears to me that this whole thing, look, they set trial dates that are unrealistic. One of them is October, another one says January. Isn't that convenient? I mean, isn't it that it's in the thick of the election? Oh, you don't want to elect Donald Trump. He's been indicted. Indicted for what? Okay, he has some business dealings that are sometimes questionable. I get that. And all businesses do. But it's not indictable. So, this is really, You know what they should call this? The return of the Ringling Brothers Circus. That's what they should call it. And in the center of the ring is Donald Trump, and the district attorneys involved are the ringmasters. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And we'll talk about it today here on the show. But first, of course, we have the one and only Seth Grossman, and we cannot forget Richard Summers and Seth Grossman's attempt to revive Richard Summers and all of the things that he did, and that's coming up very soon, right, Seth?
Yes, it's coming up on September 4th. And in fact, anyone coming to the breakfast discussion that we have every Saturday morning from 9:30 to 10:30 at Sal's Cafe in Summers Point at Groveland Avenue and New Road in Summers Point will be multitasking. Not only will you be having a conversation, but while you're having conversation, you'll be putting stickers on postcards and stamps on postcards so we could advise the 400 people who signed up with us how to attend. It's going to be September 4th, the day Richard Summers died in Tripoli. And it'll be at the monument right by the library in Summers Point at New Jersey Avenue and Shore Road in Summers Point, right across from Charlie's. So we will be there at 4 o'clock on September 4th, and we invite anyone who's in the area. We know it's Labor Day Monday, but there's plenty of parking, and we just hope that people will come. And to defray our expenses, at 5 o'clock, right after the ceremony, we go over to Sal's where we normally have our breakfast, and we have a nice little buffet that raises money that pays for the postcards and the stamps and our other expenses.
Sounds good. Count me in.
So,
count me in.
Okay. You're right. It's not on a Saturday morning, so you could actually
That's right.
come.
I can go.
By the way, the tickets for the buffet are $30, and you could pay online. We'd prefer if you pay in advance, so we know exactly how much food to have, but you could certainly pay at the door. But this morning at our Liberty and Prosperity breakfast, I'm sure there'll be plenty of discussion about Trump, and it's going to be interesting whether the fourth arrest changed anybody's mind and whether the debates among the other Republican candidates changed anybody's mind. Because as of a month ago, we from time to time take a straw poll at our group, and of our group, 72% supported Trump last time, 28% supported DeSantis, and I'm curious if that changed. And one of the things that comes out is it's possible to believe that Trump is being treated unfairly, that he's being persecuted, that the charges are garbage. You could believe that to be true, but you could at the same time believe that he's not the most qualified person to become president, and that maybe Ron DeSantis should be president or the nominee instead of Trump. So I'm really curious to see how opinions changed or if they did change. One thing I think everybody agrees on, that first New York case against Trump was absolute garbage. And probably that indictment did not really change anything that much. And the other three are also pretty weak cases. But the real problem is not so much whether Trump committed a crime, but whether he showed poor judgment, and whether that should make somebody think that somebody else is better qualified to be president. And that's really what the discussion I think is going to be this morning and for the next couple months. And I'll just give one example. If you're driving through Longport, I don't know, have you ever driven through Longport?
Yes.
Okay, they have signs all over that say 25 miles per hour. And very often in the middle of the winter, you're the only car on the road. There's nobody there in Summers Point. Nobody on the sidewalk. Do you still go 25 miles an hour?
I don't. No.
Yeah. You probably don't. And most people don't. And actually you have a stop sign there, to Atlantic Avenue and a red light. Most people sort of just roll through the stop sign, roll through the red light. Now, a second thing, if you're driving through Longport in the middle of winter, and everybody else goes a little bit faster, everybody else stops at the stop sign, if you see a police car parked to the right with the officer in there looking at you, would you still go 40 miles an hour?
No.
Would you still run the red light? Would you still run the stop sign? And the answer is you wouldn't. And I think that's the analogy as to what Trump basically, did. I mean, he knew everybody was out to get him, and yet he, allowed people who were with him to do things that may have been technical violations of the law. And, of course, everybody else did it. But if you're using good judgment, would you do it? And I think that's going to be the test that Republican voters are going to be looking at, not whether a crime was committed or not a crime, but whether you're looking at good judgment or bad judgment. And I think that's well, let's see if I'm going to get chewed out at the meeting just for saying as much as I said. But
okay,
but I'm sure there'll be a lively discussion. The other thing that's going on, and I guess the top story, is really the illegal invasion of foreigners in this country. When you look at the video of New York and these other towns where you have thousands and thousands of these so-called migrants, mostly young men, but you have other people from foreign countries who we know nothing about them. We are supposed to have immigration laws that say you can't enter this country unless you are within a certain quota. We limit the numbers because otherwise, we'll be overwhelmed. And, if you look at what the Democrat historians, they talk about, blacks in Africa became slaves because the Democrats say and the historians say they became slaves because the Arabs and the Europeans were racist. But Thomas Sowell, the black historian, gave a much more obvious answer. He said blacks in Africa became slaves because they were unwilling or unable to defend themselves. And that's what happens. If you cannot defend yourself or you don't want to defend yourself, you will become a slave. The American Indians lost their land, according to Sowell, not because Europeans were racist. They lost their land because they could not defend themselves or would not defend themselves. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the guns. So as our country is invaded right now, what are we doing to defend ourselves as a country? What kind of life are you giving your children and grandchildren if they become a minority in this country? And if the majority who are running the country believe that they are poor because European Americans or white Americans or Christian Americans or Republican Americans robbed them of their wealth. So therefore, it's okay to use their votes or actually use violence, use guns to just take their stuff. Just walk into a department store and take what you want and dare anyone to arrest you and say, don't arrest me, I want that stuff. I mean, what kind of country are we turning into if we can't defend ourselves against it? And the real problem comes down to someone who came and warned us at our Liberty and Prosperity meetings. He spoke to us twice at our fundraiser, a guy called Michael Cutler. He said the key to immigration, the key to defending your borders, has nothing to do with borders. Because no matter how high you build a wall, someone's going to get through, and someone's going to go in through the airport, and someone's going to overstay their visa, and someone's going to land in a boat. The key is to whether you have a secure country depends on whether you are willing to check to make sure that everyone living in your country is here legally. And if they're not here legally, you have to arrest them and detain them and send them back to the country they came from. But can Americans do that? Do we have the will to do that? Are you willing to watch a family get arrested for being illegally here, taken to a detention camp, put on a plane, put on a boat, and send back to their own country? Or when Americans see the TV image of crying children, of neighbors saying what wonderful people they were, will they say it has to stop? And, one of the sad facts about, when Trump was president, during the first month he was president, we were systematically enforcing our immigration laws. And then suddenly we had those TV images, and suddenly, and I don't know who gave the order, but the order did come down that illegal immigrants in America would no longer be deported unless they were guilty of committing other crimes. And the minute you send somebody the signal that they could stay illegally in this country as long as they don't commit other crimes, then they're going to have all their relatives come over. The word's going to be out. Just get to this country any way you can. And as long as you keep your nose clean for a couple of years, you'll get amnesty and you'll stay. And what's the point of having immigration laws? So the real question is, do we have the will to defend our country? And, I have our question, and I'm surprised that in all the TV debates and all the TV discussion, maybe I missed it, but did you see any political leader anywhere saying the only solution is not giving these people jobs, not giving these people housing, but if they're all here because they're seeking some sort of asylum, let's appoint judges, let's get early hearings, let's get them to their hearings, and if they don't qualify, send them back to the country they came from. I haven't heard anybody say that.
Neither have I. No, neither have
I. So anyway, that's what's going on. Back to Richard Summers. I just want to say briefly when that why that event is so important. There was a time when Richard Summers, who came from Summers Point, was such a well-known hero that every school child in America knew who Richard Summers was. They knew the war that he fought in. It was called the Barbary Wars. America fought against people called the Barbary Pirates in 1804. Why? Because when American ships sailed to Spain, France, Portugal, or Italy, they were attacked by Muslim warships from North Africa who robbed and captured them and sold them as slaves, stole their property. Now, this was shocking and new to Americans, but these Barbary pirates had been doing this to European Christians for 1,000 years. In fact, they even sent their warships to Iceland, Greenland, and Ireland to capture female slaves because blonde, blue-eyed women got the highest prices in the Arab slave markets. Now, of course, Americans knew nothing about this, and when we were a British colony, we didn't have to worry about it because our ships were protected by the British Navy, and the British government was actually paying tribute or bribes to have our ships left alone. But as soon as we became independent, we were no longer protected by Britain, and then these Barbary pirates started attacking and enslaving Americans. And then we, at first, Americans, for 15 years, we didn't have a Navy to protect our people, so we also paid bribes every year to these Barbary pirates to have our people left alone. And then, of course, there came a point when Americans said, millions for defense, not 1 cent for tribute. And we decided to build a Navy, and Richard Summers of Summers Point was one of the first Americans to join that new Navy. And we'll tell the rest of the story on September 4th. But I just want to give your listeners an idea as to what's going on.
And you've always kept Richard Summers in the forefront of your discussions. And you're to be commended for that, because I didn't study him in history, so I didn't know who he was till you came on my show. So you're educating us as well.
And of course, we're finding out about why you never heard of Richard Summers with this calendar project we did. As I mentioned, we for the last 2 months, we've been working on this project to tell the story of successful people in South Jersey who were free and how they used the opportunity of America, what they called the boundless opportunity of America, to have these successful lives. And we drew our material not only from regular history books, but every person who grew up in South Jersey has probably gone to the funeral of a grandparent or an uncle or somebody we knew. And when they're doing the eulogy, it's like almost all the stories were the same. Whether you were black, whether you were Italian, whether you were Irish, whether your great grandfather or grandfather came from the farms of somewhere in the Midwest or Appalachia, it was always, we came here with nothing, we got married, we worked hard, we saved our money, we bought a house, we bought a business, we succeeded, and now we have a very comfortable life. The idea of America as the land of boundless opportunity, or the Germans would call it das Land der unbegrenzten Möglichkeiten. And of course, so one of the reasons our calendar has not come out yet is that we are getting a grant from the state, and the grant is requires us to deal with the historians, and the historians are quibbling. They're saying, well, why are you using stories to promote the motto of liberty and prosperity? And we said, well, when you give money to a black group, they're going to talk about Chicken Bone Beach. When you give to a Hispanic group, they're going to give to a historic heritage. I said, if you believe in diversity, shouldn't we have a history that explains why liberty and prosperity are important? So we're quibbling with this, and probably one of the things that was annoying when we did the story of Richard Stockton, we talked about how he was betrayed by Tories. They were the people who sided with the British, who didn't want American independence. And he was put in prison and left, given starvation wages and kept for 3 months in the winter in an unheated cell, and how it broke his health. They objected. We used the word Tories. They said, well, you should use the word loyalists. We don't want you to use the word Tories. So we're arguing about that, but it just shows how many of the history professors in our school just simply hate America. And they're teaching this to our children. So this is like an accidental effect of the calendar project that we're doing. I
bet you're sorry you got a grant.
Well, no, in a way, I'm happy we got the grant, because if we just did our history, we would just assume that who would object? Everything we did is documented. We use different sources. They forced us to have this is the first historical calendar with footnotes, by the way, thanks to the state, where we actually name all of our sources. If you don't, I'll give you one other example. They objected. There's a city in New Jersey called Greenwich, and it's in Cumberland County, and that's where there was after the Boston Tea Party, you had a British ship didn't want to land in Philadelphia because they knew everybody would probably have another tea party in Philadelphia. So they went to this quiet town called Greenwich in New Jersey, and they brought their tea there. But the local farmers were just as angry, and they took the tea and they burned it. So we had our own little tea party in Greenwich, New Jersey, but the people were so angry that their name Greenwich sounded British that from that point on they started calling their town Greenwich. So just like Buena may be the name of a town anywhere but New Jersey, it's Buena here in New Jersey, and it's Greenwich in New York and Connecticut, but it's Greenwich in New Jersey because they changed the name. And you talk to anybody in Greenwich, they'll tell you this is why we pronounce our town differently. And yet they said, well, where are your footnotes? Where's your documents for that? So this is why the calendar project is a little bit slow. But anyway, it's 9:30. It's time for me to go to our breakfast meeting at Sal's in Summers Point. And if you want to know more details of all the stuff I didn't get to talk about, it's posted at libertyandprosperity.com. And if you like what we're doing, please make a donation, because we need the money for postage, postcards, and to sponsor, the John DeMasi radio program. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Seth. LibertyandProsperity.com is the website. Seth Grossman, of course, headed to the meeting at 9:30. Sal's Coal-Fired Pizza every Saturday at 9:30. It is Talk with a Purpose. Speaking of every Saturday 9 till noon, right here, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We'll get started with our callers, John, Craig, and Bob, in that order. And maybe you at 609-407-1450. Coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. Joe Yakovich is registered with, and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Let's get started here on Talk with a Purpose with your phone calls, and we start with John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Let's get ready to rumble. I see Dave from California can either be Kelly Dave or Super Dave Osborne. Remember Super Dave Osborne from Second City TV? He'd always do something wacky and get himself harmed, and then the next episode he'd be right as rain. But anyway, talking about Prigozhin's plane being shot down, the sleepy, creepy unwrapped mummy says it was Vladimir Putin, that dirty dog, Vladimir Putin. Anyway, who knows, man? I mean, Biden was an Annapolis. He was a cadet at Annapolis Naval Academy. No, he wasn't. He rode an 18-wheeler as a younger man, as lunch pal Joe. I don't even think that dude even sat shotgun in an 18-wheeler, let alone drove one for work as a living. And he graduated at the top of his class in his law school. No, he graduated towards the bottom. He had an alarming fire in his Delaware home in Wilmington. Nothing even close to what's going on in Maui. But he tried to compare the two as being the same. The guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. But I want to bring up that plane being shot down. They said actually a bomb was planted inside the plane. Now they're saying, because they found shrapnel in the fuselage, they're saying a proximity missile was at work. Now, I never heard of a proximity missile. Here's the skinny. A microtransmitter in the proximity fuse within the shell of the missile uses the shell's body as an antenna and emits a continuous radio wave. As the shell approaches a reflecting object, the wave bouncing back triggers the detonation when its signals have reached the original distance from the target. So it's like a grenade. It doesn't have to hit you. It just has to explode near you, and it can destroy you. Well, who knows where it was shot from? We don't know. I mean, actually, it took Seymour Hersh, a journalist, to let us know that actually Sleepy Creepy Joe and his administration in cahoots with the military-industrial complex that President Eisenhower warned us all about in 1961, had a hand, more than a hand, but actually were responsible for planning with a C4 on those three of those four pipelines. So let's get real. It's the time to be naive is over. But I want to talk about also end times eschatology. Talking about I see it. Here it is, man. Wait. Oh,
John, you're not prepared. What is this? You're usually prepared. I mean, this is unusual. You want to call? You want to call back?
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
This is from Daniel 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth, in between the teeth of it. And the voice said, "Rise and devour much flesh." Now, the bear has been a symbol of Russia, going back to Imperial Russia under Tsar, all the way back to the 18th century. So Imperial Russia was involved with World War I. Stalin's Communist Russia was involved with World War II, and now we're on the periphery of World War III, with what's going on in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine was the breadbasket. I don't know what it is now. It's a mess right now, but it was the breadbasket. And they also have more natural gas and crude than even Norway does. So did Norway have something to do with this, too? Because the plane that dropped those buoy bombs flew out of Norway, sailed out. But anyway, so people are saying this may be the trigger for World War III. And if you go to Ezekiel 38:15, it says the land of Magog to the uttermost north of Israel. So unless the army's going to come out of the North Pole, it's going to be Russia. Because the land to the uttermost north of Israel is Russia. And they're going to have allies, Persia, which is the present-day Iran, Togarmah, which is present-day Turkey, and Gomer, which are the stand countries. In fact, Turkmenistan is one of the stand countries. And Gomer, according to the Old Testament, Gomer was the father of Togarmah. So all this Bible prophecy was written way, way, way back yonder in olden times, maybe coming to pass now, but we don't know when the day and hour comes, but it is time to prepare ourselves, and it's time to stop being naive. Thanks for letting me call in.
All right, John, thanks for the call. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Let's see, Craig and Bob and maybe you at 609-407-1450. We will get back to more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment, but first, guess what time it is? Well, it's 9:37. No, it's that time where the voting begins, and it will start Tuesday for Best of the Press. And is BF Mazzeo in the running for Best of the Press? You better believe it. Best gift baskets, best produce store, that's the categories, and you can vote starting Tuesday. You go to pressofac.com and you'll find out how you can vote. But that's just one of the things happening at BF Mazzeo. It's kind of what you call the end of the summer, and you still have plenty of summer fruits. And I got to tell you, I ate this is unbelievable. I ate a whole watermelon last week by myself. Is that unbelievable or what? And of course it was from BF Mazzeo, and I decided that it's better to get the whole one because it's like $3.99, and that's a bargain. So that's just one of the things, and we don't normally talk about prices here, but that's just one of the bargains at BF Mazzeo. The finest fresh fruit and produce you will find anywhere. And why did I eat that whole watermelon in 1 week? It's because it was so good and so juicy, like a lot of the other fruits at BF Mazzeo. And of course, there's also prepared foods. If you don't feel like cooking, and this time of year, who does? You've got a variety of prepared foods. I mean, it runs the gamut from pastas to salmon to chicken to everything right there. Prepared foods, you got it. And also gourmet items. And I can't tell you because it would take the whole show to talk about all the gourmet items, but they even have sirloin steak and salmon and shrimp. So you could kind of do the whole meal right there shopping at BF Mazzeo. BF Mazzeo, 601 New Road in Northfield, online at bfmazzeo.com, bfmazzeo.com. Check it out as well. And we're coming into the holidays, and we'll talk about all the things you can do there as well. BF Mazzeo, online at bfmazzeo.com. Coming back with more of Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. It'll be humid today with times of clouds and sun. Today's high 87. Partly cloudy and humid tonight with a low of 67. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine, a passing shower or two. It'll be humid tomorrow as we wrap up the weekend. We'll see a high of 84. We'll start the new week Monday with intervals of clouds and sun, remaining humid, the high 77. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to email me during the week, or you can email me today, it doesn't matter. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. Email me anything you like, program suggestions, comments, etc. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. That's the email address. It is Talk with a Purpose, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, good morning, John. I mean, you ready? I bounced back there. I told you about the FEMA camp I might be going. For those people that don't know, my call got dropped, and I got to slide back in again, because what we wanted to talk about. For the person that called before, I think it was John.
Yeah.
That Russian guy that got, allegedly the plane got shot down, he disappeared in 2019 also. So just hold up before anybody gets excited. What did I tell you? Okay. Seth, when you say Donald Trump made a bad judgment call, I think every week you come on, you're not going to talk about Donald, but you talk about Donald. I mean, I hope your people are giving you a spanking right now because you deserve it.
He probably is. Yes.
Okay, but I just want to say that the Congress, remember this, people, the Congress changed the law so that Pence couldn't do what Donald Trump wanted him to do. Did they not?
Right, that's right.
No, I didn't ask that's right. Did they change the law?
No.
Yes. No, they changed the law. After the election and after the January 6th, Congress met and they voted and they changed the law, okay, so that Pence could never do what Donald Trump wanted him to do. That's a fact.
Well,
people don't know that.
January 6th was only a ceremony, if I recall.
No, listen, it depends on... See, this is the thing. When you go to court, okay, what you get to do is you get to debate the facts. And the last time I checked, when somebody's calling down there in Georgia, okay, you saw those suitcases coming from underneath the table a couple times on TV, didn't you?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think there weren't some 5,000 votes in each one of those?
Could be. Yeah.
Okay. Could be. So is there doubt in your mind? You just threw doubt in the mind. You know what? They're going to come and get you. You're going to be part of that trial now just because what you said on the air. Okay. I want you to understand that. That's what they're really saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, last week after I left, we had the police officer from Motion City, okay, who thinks that woman, Mrs. Babbitt, okay, that was justified.
Well, he's an officer.
I know what he is. And I know exactly. I heard, and listen. I'm all for the police. Okay, I want to state that first. And I'm not a police officer, but I'm a human being. And you know what? We got like we're seeing right now. We got two sets of justice. The woman didn't have a gun, and she was shot to death. When those Justice Department was being burnt down there, and they were shooting all over there in the state of Washington. Oh, that was okay though. No, nobody got shot there, right? That was peaceful protesting. And I want to remind those people that what that congresswoman said from California, get in her face. Did she not say that?
Yes.
Okay, so here, what they did was what she told them to do. If you have a disagreement and you don't like it, get in her face, make them feel uncomfortable. So I believe that what we saw there when the police from the building there, they opened the doors. They let them in. Okay?
Yes.
Did they not?
Yes.
Okay, and then what? You're going to shoot them? Think about that.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring them in the corral, and then you're going to shoot them.
Yeah.
That sounds like the America that I know. Okay, I'm moving fast here. I'm sorry. So we had that the debate.
Yeah.
Did you see that debate? And according to DeSantis didn't do that great.
Well, he did all right. I mean,
listen, it was disappointing. He was supposed to come out like a superstar. Listen, he was supposed to come out like the Kentucky Derby, the lead horse. Did you see that?
Yeah, well...
no, I didn't ask you that. Did you see that, John?
You know what? You are a candidate for our first debate. That is for sure.
Okay, but you understand. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. I mean, look, that one guy that beat up Christie, I think he came out, and the woman from Carolina came out. Those two came out the strongest, in my opinion. But
Vivek Ramaswamy, that's who you're talking about.
Thank you so much for helping me with that. but across the street, okay, the guy that didn't win the election, okay, who was denied by Google, reminding you, okay, that he couldn't be seen on Twitter, now X. He got 215 million votes. The guy that couldn't, get 85 million. Did you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
215 million views.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to say another thing. It appears that when he got arrested yesterday, not yesterday, I'm sorry, on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Okay. So and I think we have a little bit of reverse discrimination going on. And they're targeting, okay, a white male, okay, and the three of those people, they're black, and they're coming after him, and it appears unjustified.
Yeah.
And black people would call this a public lynching if Donald Trump was black. I'm going to say it that way.
That's right. No, I agree with you there.
And that's a hard thing for me to say, and I know a lot of people are regurgitating right now, but let's be fair.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that, yes.
Okay. So a little side thing here now, because we got to get back. I haven't had my dinner, and we doubled up, okay? And I did say that if you lost, that we were going to invite Bob, who's coming on.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
Okay. So, listen, it appears that Elon is not going to fight. Is that a full job? I mean, if you don't come, does that mean you're defeated? I just want to know how that works.
I guess so. I think,
but we'll let Chris Coleman be the judge on that one.
Yeah, well, listen, you've got your dinner, all right?
No. Well, you double down then, so that would be 2 dinners.
Well, look, 2 dinners, what's the difference,
Well, we invited Bob to come with us. So
that's 2
Bob,
dinners. There you go.
2 dinners, right?
That's it.
Okay, do you fold on this one?
Yeah, I fold.
Okay. John, thank you so much. I want you to have a wonderful day, and God bless America.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for the call. Boy, there's a lot to unpack on that phone call. We have, speaking of Bob, he's coming up after the break, and Lillian. Bob and Lillian, in that order. Talk with the purpose of the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi, back with, final thoughts in hour number 1 after these words.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
And we're back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450, our number here in the studio. And we will talk to Bob and Cape May. Bob, good morning, and thanks for holding.
Hey, good morning, John. It's interesting. Craig thinks Vivek was the clear winner, and I think he did well. I like Vivek. Went a little too heavy on the teeth whitening, but I like him. I like his ideas. I think he's great. But it's too bad Craig couldn't even remember his name if he was such a clear winner. But look, what I want to point out is the ineptitude of the RNC, the Republican National Committee, under Ronna Romney. And she doesn't let a man like Larry Elder, great voice in the conservative movement, a black talk show host, has got great ideas about the the issues of the black family and the lack of fatherhood and all the problems that creates. And you let people like Asia Hutchinson, who had no business being up there on that debate stage.
I agree.
And this guy, Doug Burgum, who seems like a nice guy, actually had some good ideas. But you know how he got on there, John? He is a billionaire, and he offered a $20 gift card if you sent him a $1 donation.
Jeez.
That's how he got the contributions, to qualify. So Larry Elder gets shut out, and you know the black vote is there for the Republicans to take. The black middle class is growing. Especially black men are very open to the Republican ideas, not the failed policies of the Democrats. And to shut Larry Elder out is a big mistake. Now, how does this relate to the main players in this field that's running? Well, this is how it relates to it. Ronna McDaniel runs the RNC. She's a tired, and I have to use her full name, Ronna Romney McDaniel. She is a relative of Mitt Romney.
Oh, geez.
She is a Republican insider. She's a rhino, and President Trump backed her. She got another term as the chairman of the RNC, based on Donald Trump's support. Okay, so who supported a brilliant outsider who would have been much more effective for the RNC? Well, it was Ron DeSantis. Okay, and that was Harmeet Dillon. She is a brilliant woman. She would make a difference in terms of election integrity, of making sure that we had our game plan going forward for all the swing states. Nothing's changed in the swing states. In fact, it's gotten worse. In Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, it has gotten worse for Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got all Democrat governors and legislators now. We didn't have that in the Wisconsin legislature, and Arizona was still Republican in 2020. You are going to have mass mail-in ballots. You're going to have the same cheating and the same shenanigans going on. Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
you can talk about how inept and incompetent Biden is. However, he's still the favorite to win. Believe it or not, he's still the favorite to win.
I'm afraid of that
again,
too.
This is an illustration of who is a more effective executive. In Florida, Palm Beach County for decades was a huge problem for election integrity. You had corrupt officials for decades. Who changed that? Governor Ron DeSantis changed that. He fired those people. He got rid of those people. Jeb Bush didn't do it. Charlie Crist didn't do it. The rhinos didn't do it. But Governor Ron DeSantis did it. And in Florida, we had election integrity. In 2020, the votes were counted by 10 o'clock. We had a clear winner. And, again, this shows you that we need to think about an executive that's going to be effective.
Yeah.
Not somebody was ineffective.
Yeah, well, that's true. And, this is a tough one, Bob, and I'm afraid you're right that I still think that in spite of all the problems that Biden is still going to win because of the anti-Trump backlash. That's it. Yeah.
Well, and John, the apparatus for the cheating is still there.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Oh, well, hopefully it will.
It really hasn't. I mean, the mail-in ballots, they're going to let that happen. I know who would really do a hell of a job in fighting that before it gets a chance to bite us. And that's the governor of Florida. I don't think he'd let that happen.
He probably wouldn't. Bob, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Lillian in Pleasantville. Lillian, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Thank you. Good morning, John. John, a couple of quick things. First of all, what is required when you go to get your motor vehicle driver's license? Why are these licenses going out to people? They don't have birth certificates. They don't have this. They don't have that. How are they getting licenses to drive?
Well, that's a good question. You mean to tell me?
It's a very good question, and I would like to know.
Well, probably because they're relaxing the law. Is that the case in New Jersey?
I don't know what the case is, but I know when I went to get mine, you have to show some proof of who you are.
Yes, that's right. You have to show a previous license or a birth certificate or something like that.
Yes. And the other quick thing, I hope they didn't mess up Trump's hairdo, did they? What is a mugshot?
Well, you know what? He used this to really, there's already T-shirts and sweatshirts out and coffee mugs.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, but I know they're out, and I haven't seen it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. You got to say that for him. You know.
He is a brilliant man. Yes. He's one of a kind.
Yes,
we'll never see another guy like him.
That's true. Lillian, thank you. Thanks for calling. Only Trump would turn an arrest and a mugshot into a marketing opportunity. You know? I mean, it's just, I keep saying it. It's brilliant. It really is. Wow. Did that hour fly by? Hour number 1 is already in the books, which means hour number 2 is on the way. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. We are wide open in the second hour. We're going to talk about the debate, and we're going to talk about, among other things, some other issues happening in the world. It's not all Trump all the time, although you think it is. 609-407-1450 will be our number as always. I'm John DeMasi. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 on the way. Don't go away.
.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Good to have you with us, as always, for our Saturday morning get-together, and it is a pleasure, as I said. We're going to get to the calls in just a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to talk about this debate. A couple of things that I gathered out of this. And Craig will remember this name, Vivek Ramaswamy. Say that 3 times real fast. Vivek Ramaswamy. He's apparently tied now with Ron DeSantis for second place in the Republican rankings. And he was the target of most of the attacks. But I thought he did fairly well. And I thought DeSantis did well, but, you know, this guy's coming up in the world. Chris Christie, he knows how to attack. Doesn't know anything else, but he knows how to attack. True to form, he called Vivek Ramaswamy a guy who sounds like ChatGPT. I don't even know what that is. Do you know what ChatGPT is? I don't know what that. Former VP Mike Pence said of Vivek Ramaswamy, now is not the time for on-the-job training, and he called Vivek a rookie. So apparently, this was a lot of it was directed at him. Him meaning Vivek. I mean, I found that unusual because maybe they felt he was a threat. I don't know. But all of the candidates talked about Bidenomics, and this is where Republicans can really hammer home. And someone talked about Ronna McDaniel, and I agree with Bob that she's just not doing the job. This is where the Republicans, because have you seen the commercial for Biden where it says we came through the worst pandemic and like Americans, we are resilient, and Biden is doing this. He's reviving the economy and cutting down on inflation. How could you say he's cutting down on inflation? I mean, is that ridiculous? But people would believe this who don't know any better. So the Republicans got to hammer home these points. And there are many. And I just don't understand why they continue to go down the same path. And then the other issue is the abortion issue. I mean, this cost them the midterms in 2022. All of the focus was on abortion, and the Democrats did a good job. Hey, they're going to take your rights away. They're starting with abortion, and then they're going to start with everything else. And come on. And that's not the case. But this is what caused them, as I said, to fail in the 2022 midterms. They must develop a clear-cut policy, something like, well, it's up to the states, and just drop it. Drop it. But they continue to kind of focus on, this whole issue, and it cost them before. They don't want it to cost them again. And it very well could. And I am afraid, and I've been afraid, and I've been saying this from day one. And Bob said it, and look, we all agree that if the election were held today, it may be that Biden would win because they don't want Trump. And clearly, Trump is the better candidate. I hope something happens, but I'm just concerned. We'll see. You want to talk about it? 609-407-1450. Steve in Absecon Island. Steve, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John, and thanks for taking my call. Always a good program.
Thank you, sir.
And I just want to say I can never get anything done because your program's so terrific. I have to stop what I'm doing.
Well, you take a break between 9 and 12. You can start at 12:15. All right.
Sure. The woman who called from Pleasantville about the driver's licenses. Being sent to we have two driver's licenses in New Jersey. We have the Real ID, which has the little star in the front.
Yes.
And then we have the regular driver's license. And both of them, you need the 6 points. So there's documents. It's similar to the old Philadelphia Chinese restaurant where you would go in and you'd pick dishes from wall A and one dish from wall B. Well, maybe some of our New Jersey residents don't know that that's how we used to order in Chinese restaurants in Chinatown.
That's right. Philly. Yeah, one from column A, one from column B, one from column C. Yeah, you got it.
Right, exactly. So it's very similar, if not an analog to that. They have different forms of ID that you have to show. And it's a slew of them, and they're all weighted with different points. Like a birth certificate, believe it or not, is only like 2 points.
Yes.
A firearms ID card to purchase is only 3 points.
Yes. I think a passport is 3 points too, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You just go out to the New Jersey .gov website, and you can see it. No big deal there. I didn't see anything that said illegal immigrants can get driver's licenses because they have to show that they're in the country legally, and you can't get a Social Security number unless you're in the country legally. So I don't know how that's happening. If it is happening, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, it probably is. And I know that landscapers, they tell me that they can't hire they can't hire legals because they're usually white and they can't handle the job. So they pay their employees in cash, some of them anyway.
Right.
Yeah, they're not legal. So,
well, cash is king.
Yeah.
We don't like cash. But I'm just saying that if they're getting the driver's license, then they're forging the documents, and certainly one of the documents to get a point is an address. So if you have like an electric bill coming to your house, so that's easy.
Yeah.
The electric company doesn't say, provide me that you're in the country legally and we'll supply you electricity.
Yeah.
The supermarket doesn't say, show us that you're in the country legally and we'll allow you to buy food.
Yeah, that's right.
So, a lot of these documents are foolish to begin with. Now, the other point I wanted to bring up was the topic. I think, Craig, your caller called in about the law that passed that changed the way that the Electoral College is counted and passed. Yeah, it looks like, I just looked it up. It looks like it went through the House, but I don't recall the Senate passing it. And then, of course, Trump was still president on January 7th to sign it into law.
Yeah, that's right. He would have been. Yeah.
So the House, I'm going to have to read further into it, but I just heard it yesterday. I watched the Tucker Carlson interview with Trump, and at first I thought it was very light. Tucker didn't ask a lot of policy questions. It was more about, are you scared that you're going to be assassinated, and things of that nature, more germane to what's going on in the his trials. But very, very, Trump did speak to some policies about closing the border down and, of course, tax policy a little bit and things of that nature. But it was very light. I didn't watch the battle royale, WWF. I don't think it's not really a debate as far as I'm concerned. It's really
sure
it's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time because the number one guy isn't there, and he shouldn't be because he's number one by a wide margin. And it really, and they got another one coming up September 27th. So it's going to be more of the same.
Right, but when I say it wasn't. I agree with you about the Trump not being there, but it's a waste of time because they don't talk about tax policy. They don't talk about domestic policies, about jobs.
Right, that's right. It was very short on policy, and they've got to hammer home that our policies are better than Biden's, and that's what they got to do. And back to your point, Steve, about the Electoral College. I thought originally that was just a ceremony. Like Pence would go in there and say, okay, I certify this election as true and all of that stuff. So I believe that was just ceremonial, wasn't it? Or was intended to be anyway.
I'll give you a little bit what I'm here on the PBS.org website. That was the first thing that I popped up. I'm going to research a few others. It says here the bill, which is similar to bipartisan legislation moving through the Senate, would overhaul an arcane 1800s era statute known as the Electoral Count Act that governs, along with the U.S. Constitution, how states and Congress certify electors and declare presidential election winners. So somehow, some way, the House, which was a Democratic majority under Trump at that time period, probably passed it. It didn't make it to the Senate because Trump would have said right away on January 7th that he had the permission, that Pence had the legal authority to send it back to the states, but because he would have said, I signed the bill that changed it, or not signed the bill that changed it. I vetoed the bill that wanted to change that law.
Yes.
And I never heard of he didn't even say that on Tucker Carlson's show. When I watched it, he said that, they changed the law right after January 6th, after Pence authorized the count or validated the count. They changed the law. So, but how could they change the law without Trump signing it into law?
Yeah, that's true.
I remember from my civics class. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the laws are created in Congress. They're voted on. It's sent to the Senate. They pass it, and then it goes to the desk of the president.
That's right. Yes,
who
exactly.
Has right, and he can veto it. Then it goes back to the Senate.
Right.
And 2/3 majority to override the president. Right.
All that is right. Yes.
Okay. So this law, which they're talking about, excuse me, probably happened on January 7th, real quick, under the covers. The media didn't talk about it much, and because I think I'm pretty much well aware of what's going on in the world, and yet I never heard about that. And like I said, Trump's only bringing it out now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of all this.
I don't either. It's a good question. And Steve, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. This is just handed to me. Chris, thank you. You looked it up. What is needed to get an undocumented driver's license in New Jersey? Ready for this? The main difference that undocumented immigrants have with citizens or residents when applying for a driver's license are the submitted documents. To obtain a driver's license, if you are undocumented, the law requires that the applicants prove their identity, age, and residence in New Jersey. Therefore, New Jersey Motor Vehicles mandates the following: proof of address, individual taxpayer ID number, sworn statement that the requirements for obtaining a Social Security number are not met, passport of the country of origin, and meet the 6 identification points. So you can get a license in New Jersey if you are undocumented, provided you have those documents. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yes, I've also heard that the governor of Illinois wants to employ undocumented aliens as police officers. Isn't that special? Oh, man, our world is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. I'll tell you what.
Right.
But now I'm not arguing with Craig about Prigozhin, Jenny Prigozhin. I mean, I know that people say that Epstein was. I've heard both sides of the story. He's either Arkansas, it was killed and made it look like a suicide, or he committed suicide. All I know is that corpus delicti that was on the gurney the next day under the broad midday sun didn't look nothing like Epstein. So for all we know, him and Prigozhin might be sipping the champagne for some rich Russian oligarch yacht out in the middle of the Aegean Sea somewhere. Who knows, man? But instead of that fat bozo Chris Christie, they should have had Larry Elders there, man. Half the Republican Party was founded by black people, free black men. Why not?
Right.
I mean, it's time to play smart, isn't it? No, we just keep on doing the same old dumb crap over and over again. And I like Vivek Ramaswamy's chutzpah, man. He does have chutzpah. You have to give it to him there. Now, in response to being accused of being green by career politician Pence, he said he's looking for revolution. I like that idea, but I've heard some of his ideas. I don't think he's a whack job. I think he's very naive.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, you're not going to control the Federal Reserve. Forget about it. You want to go all the way through, get rid of the Federal Reserve and have a fourth branch of government. That would be with all checks and balances, in addition to the executive, legislative, judicial, have a financial branch, because according to the Constitution, the Congress controls our money. So I don't like the idea of AOC and Bernie Sanders and Chucky Schmucky Schumer and the rest of those bozos controlling my money. So yeah, it's a different day and age. I got it, but there's still a beloved Constitution to deal with. And as far as Vivek Ramaswamy, yeah, he has a place, man. The same old career politicians. They got to go. They're dinosaurs. They're not doing our country any good. Thanks for letting me call in again.
All right, John. Thanks for the call. Yep. You know, this is where I think Vivek and Ron DeSantis and some others, this is where they're cutting their teeth. Maybe not now, but in the future, I think those are two good candidates for maybe 2028. Just think about it, because a lot of times, people got to get to know you, but I think DeSantis is still viable, but maybe not now. And Ramaswamy, maybe not now. But good ideas. I mean, I'm impressed with Vivek. I'm impressed with him. So we'll see. But right now, I think it's the Trump show, and I just hope that people come to their senses and just stop this Biden train. It's ridiculous. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. We'll talk to Linda after the break, and we'll talk to Greg, and maybe we will talk to you at 609-407-1450. Back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. I have made another conversion. What do you think I am, a preacher? No. I'm talking about converting another person from Brand X to Lexus, and courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City. My grandson's other grandfather, he's been looking at my car. Well, he had a Lexus before. He liked it, but then he went back to Brand X. But he didn't like Brand X. So he just went back, and he's got a brand new Lexus SUV, and it is beautiful. And I'll tell you, he's probably convinced me to get an SUV for my next car. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And he told me, he said, just went in, made the deal, really simple. And they have, a lot of SUVs. At least they did as of Tuesday. Now, maybe they don't as of today, but you check it out for yourself. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT, and online at lexusofac.com, lexusofac.com, and you will find the finest automobile on the market today. It is just a phenomenal car. I've been telling you, I've been driving a rental because my car is still in the shop, and it's going to be in there another week. And I've been driving, I don't even want to say Brand X, it's Brand Z or below that. But really, I can't wait to get rid of this thing. So, really, I got to tell you like it is, But Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Stop in, ask for Helen. She'll give you a good deal, and really, it's just an easy, simple process, no hassle, no hype. It is, of course, the Golden Opportunity Sales Event happening now through Labor Day, so take advantage of that. Lexus of Atlantic City, online at aclexus.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for LibertyAndProsperity.com. Richard Summers grew up in Summers Point when George Washington was president. By age 20, Summers had completed school, mastered a trade, and was starting his career as a merchant ship captain. But then sea fighters from North Africa went to war against America because we were non-believers who did not pay them tribute. They attacked every American ship they could find. They captured everyone on board, brought them back to Africa, and sold them into slavery. Richard Summers joined America's new Navy to stop them. On September 4th, 1804, Richard Summers died fighting them by the shores of Tripoli. His remarkable story was once told to every school child in America. But today, Richard Summers is canceled and forgotten. Please join me and our group to remember him on the day he died, September 4th, Labor Day at 4 o'clock. Meet us by his statue and mural by the library at Shore Road in Summers Point. Contact me for details or visit libertyandprosperity.com. Thanks.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you would like to listen to any of our shows at any time, hey, we're in the 21st century. We have radio on demand. And that's what this is. You Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all of the shows come up. There's like 180 some shows. And you can listen to any show at any time. That's what you do. Radio on demand. It's a marvelous invention. I love it. John DeMasi Podcast is what you Google, and they all come up. So do that. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Linda in Absecon. Good morning, Linda. Welcome.
Good morning, John. Vivek as in cake.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, do you have a few things? Good show, by the way.
Thank you.
And the law was signed. It's always a good show. Unlike the gentleman who called who said, it's like, my Saturday stopped for your show.
Yeah,
I love your show. And I love you.
Thank you.
And I think you're a great host.
Thank you.
And you're warm and friendly, and people are just so comfortable calling your show, and the callers are awesome. But I think that law was signed a bit after Trump was out of office. They wanted to make sure they really shored up those little fine points that needed shoring up.
Yeah.
And but Bob, Trump didn't back Ronna McDaniel. In fact, Hermit Dillon has always been his lawyer. She may even still be. I don't know. But he said, let them fight it out. And I understand that. That wasn't upsetting to me at all. Yeah, it was Mike Lindell, Hermit Dillon, and Ronna McDaniel.
Yeah.
And, of course, you can bet that he didn't want Ronna McDaniel, but it wasn't the time or place.
Yeah.
To do what maybe Bob wanted him to do. But he did the right thing. He said, let them fight it out. He did not endorse Ronna McDaniel.
Well, she's bad anyway. She's really not. She's not doing.
She started out good enough and true. I mean, she's
not doing the job. No, she's not doing the job. But
in the beginning, she was good enough. Trump won, right?
Yeah, well, but the game's changed now, Linda, and that's and she hasn't adapted to that change.
Well, she knows how to get champagne now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I mean, well, I won't go there. So, but now regarding DeSantis, I do think DeSantis won the debate, and DeSantis. Clearly, but now should President Trump not want the election, want to be president? I would say DeSantis definitely. I think Ramaswamy. This is my word. I find him to be wildfire, smart as a whip, but too much wildfire on Israel, on Taiwan, and some of those thoughts, and which he has, by the way, been all over. Now, I could give you a case in point, but I'll be taken from other listeners.
Yeah, well.
So now, wait. I'm sorry. So here we have Ron DeSantis running the state of Florida expertly.
Yes.
Here we have President Trump. He ran the United States and ran the world, and he did it expertly.
Yes.
While being impeached and everything else 6 ways from Sunday by the government that I never thought was possible. And everybody seems to want to criticize him because maybe he should have known all this. Well, how evil the government was. Well, he didn't know it. He knew it was bad. He didn't know it was that bad, and neither did any of you out there.
That's right.
You didn't even know there was a deep state until probably Bannon said something about the deep state, or maybe Trump said it first. We didn't know. Even my husband said, we thought, well, all of a sudden there's a deep state. Well, maybe it was 2 feet deep. We didn't know the deep state, you'd go in it and come up out of China.
Yeah.
So that's how deep it is. And anybody else who pretends who dare think that this president should have known this, maybe when Senator Schumer went on television just after President Trump was elected and said, just in a small period there, when Schumer said, he's on Rachel Maddow, and he said, boy, that Trump here for a smart businessman, he's really dumb. You take on the intel community, they'll get you 6 ways from Sunday. Well, why wasn't he ever brought before the government? Why wasn't he brought before Congress?
That's right.
And say, what are you inferring, Senator?
Yeah.
What did you know, and when did you know it? And maybe, and to this day, has anybody asked him that question?
No.
That's because this country is over. But God, this country is over, because you don't have a country if you don't have a blind lady justice. So that's my thought.
Okay, Linda, thanks for the call. Boy, gloom and doom with some of these calls. Oh, God. Greg and Absec. And Greg, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Mr. Damasi, good morning.
Morning, sir.
I just hope Republicans and Democrats also, whatever they're hearing over the waves, be it TV, papers, whatever it is, take it with a grain of salt and then do some research on subjects that you want to get an answer to. Because what we are hearing most of the time is doom and gloom.
Yep.
And it is not really the truth. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They like to editorialize and just edit things out.
Yeah.
At their discretion.
That's right.
That's not what the news, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. And I'm hoping people realize that.
Well, it's true because the news today is not the news. It's the news according to whoever is reporting it. Correct. You know, you watch CNN, you watch NBC, and then you watch Fox. you see two different worlds. So, what do you want to believe? That's the case.
And then you have to do your homework.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you really cannot really rely on what you're being told.
Right. The days of Walter Cronkite are over.
Exactly. I would say something, but I will not. I won't let it stand just the way you said it, okay? Everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Trump and the lack of arrival to the debates.
Yeah.
I really thought he was giving up the high grounds.
Well.
And I think the jury's still out on that. I don't think any numbers are coming through yet, but I think he dodged a bullet, personally.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a critical mistake that he made because he could have really damaged himself.
Well, I don't know if he should have. You're talking about maybe he should have entered the debates? Because
without a doubt, he should have been there.
Well, you see, but what good would it have done him? Because he's
looking too cavalier to the public and the people that are supposed to be making a judgment on these individuals.
Well, it's true, yeah.
Independently.
Yeah.
And here we have the king that just didn't want to bother.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me was very upsetting. He should have been at those debates.
Well, but he didn't think it would do him any good. And he was probably right because all of those guys that were on the dais there were out to get him. And he knew that, so he said, hey, you know, what am I going to gain? Look at it this way, Greg. What was he going to gain by appearing at those debates?
Because, what's he gaining right now? Well, when you think about what he's been put through for...
Well, that's true.
What is it, 7 or 8 years, there is nothing that affects the man. He stays he keeps his eye on the ball all the time.
Yeah.
He's never off key. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't know either. I would have folded my tent a long time ago and gone into hiding, you know. But
because the last thing he needs is this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Greg, thanks for the call. Bob and Cape May. Bob, welcome back.
Hey, John. Look, I think Linda's made some great points. It was an excellent call. She's right about Trump. He had a great record of accomplishment. Absolutely have to give him credit despite all the workings of the deep state. I do want to defend my call on Ronna McDaniel, though. Charlie Kirk, who's a Trump ally, he's the one specifically said that Trump backed Ronna McDaniel. And that's a big problem in terms of strategy. It really is. And you know, President Trump was wise to skip the debate because a lot was stacked against him at that debate. I don't know if you're aware of this there, John, but that audience, that was controlled and chosen by, the live audience was chosen by the RNC. And there were a lot of old-line establishment Republicans and donors in that audience. That's why Vivek was booed a lot.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. And what we saw there was really in many ways, the death of the old establishment Republican Party. As the example I give of Pence. Pence came off as a nasty old man. That's what he just came off as. But, the real warmongers that were the predominant number of candidates on that stage were warmongers. They wanted big intervention in Ukraine. Nikki Haley, let's give Ukraine a blank check. You had two men, Vivek and Ron DeSantis. They both objected to this unlimited aid for Ukraine. And where do they want our resources to go? Where it should go, on the southern border, to protect our country from the fentanyl, from the invasion of terrorists and God knows what.
Yeah.
So what we saw there, and Pence, as I said, he. Some of these candidates like Pence and Christie almost turn this into a religious question. Like, how dare you abandon the people of Ukraine? And that's not the point. The point is we have almost 100,000 Americans dying of fentanyl overdose every year. Every year we have that. And I love what DeSantis said about this border situation. He's going to send American special forces into Mexico if he has to obliterate these criminal drug cartels. That's where we need to spend money.
Oh, that's where we need. That's a good thing. No question about that. No question about that.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks a lot for the call again. 609-407-1450 is the number here in the studio. Craig, after the break, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose after these words.
The market is up. The market is down. I know from day to day there's a fair amount of volatility. You worry, I worry. We all worry, but not so much when you have a sound financial plan that doesn't depend completely on the market. Hi, I'm Joe Yakovich with this Money Minute. You'll find some real insights in my new book, The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In this book, I explain in detail how I approach financial planning, retirement, insurance, and many other topics. For a free copy of my book, The Heart of Your Money, simply contact my office at 856-751-1771. That's 856-751-1771. Or you can email me at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. I'm Joe Yakovich with this Money Minute, and thanks for listening.
Want to save money in these inflationary times? Write this number down. 855-910-1246. 855-910-1246. Text your number to that number and you'll be part of BF Mazzio's Text Message Club, where you'll receive specials and coupons that will save you money. BF Mazzio, the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. Gift baskets, catering for all occasions, and more. 601 New Road, Northfield. Online at bfmazzio.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon, humid with times of clouds and sunshine, high up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 67. Intervals of clouds and sunshine tomorrow, but grab an umbrella. We've got a shower in spots. Could be your spot. Humid with a high 84 to wrap the weekend. And come Monday, not as warm but humid, clouds and sunshine, high 77. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, if you want to email me during the week, jdadv1@comcast.net. Send me anything you'd like. Pro, con, program suggestions, whatever. We take them all on. jdadv1@comcast.net. That is my email address. And you may want to write it down, and you want to email me on Wednesday or Thursday and you'll forget it. So write it down. jdadv1@comcast.net. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And I'm John DeMasi. This just a little word here about this abortion issue. In South Carolina, their highest court backs the strict 6-week abortion ban. This is a new Supreme Court in South Carolina. They reversed course on abortion Wednesday. The new court, which of course is made up of all men, upheld the ban on abortion after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. So, writing for the new majority, Justice John Kittredge wrote the 2023 law that infringes on a woman's right of privacy and bodily autonomy, but said that the legislature reasonably determined that this time around that those interests don't outweigh the interest of the unborn child to live. So 6-week abortion ban in South Carolina, which, okay for that, but again, you know, the Democrats are going to have a field day. Oh, South Carolina, you can't get an abortion, you know, and make this an issue when there are many, many other issues to me that are far more important in this upcoming election, like inflation and everything else. And Joe's going to talk about real estate in his hour, but I heard a disturbing thing. The average price, are you ready for this? The average price of a home, $406,000. Are you kidding me? What is that, a mansion in Longport? No. No. It's like a regular old house. $406,000. Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome back.
What are you surprised about there, John? We discussed that last week.
I know we did, yeah.
Did we not?
Yeah, but it's just, I still find it unbelievable. $406,000?
No, that's actually, I think it's actually $437,000 is the actual average, from what I heard.
Yeah.
But that's why in California, that's why they need the 60-year mortgage.
Yes, that's right.
Remember we discussed
that
that's
right.
Week?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So what should shock you?
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
But so for Bob, he said that that Republican Party ran that debate. I think Fox ran the debate a little bit too, don't you?
Yes. Well, it was on Fox, so yeah, they would have control. They would have some level of control. Yes.
Weren't they the ones that said that they couldn't have any Donald Trump surrogates there? Carrie Lake.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Not allowed. Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz, not allowed to be there for him, in the way that he was. So what do you think is going on there? We're talking about 3 top Republicans. Would you say they're not 3 top Republicans?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, national news and everything like that. So, I have to say that, that was a bad thing for Fox to do. And Bob, the reason I didn't remember Osami, whatever his name is
Ramaswamy. Say that 3 times real fast, Greg.
I'm not going to say that because you know why? It's a non-starter.
Yeah.
Because like they said, they were vying for vice president, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a selection for Donald Trump in that category.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so Bob, I didn't watch the debate. I taped it, but it's that low on the totem pole in my life that I haven't seen it yet. And, the one thing that I wanted to talk about, which, became a problem, and we talked about that, they came on about that January 6th. Did you notice and hear that all the documentation for that January 6th committee has been destroyed?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'll say it again.
I didn't know that.
Destroyed.
No,
so now, cover up. What did Hillary Clinton do with her emails? She destroyed them, right?
That's right. That's right.
So it's the Democratic way. But if Donald Trump did that, could you imagine? It would be indictment number 5. I want to say this last thing, John, because I think this is very important. And I want to say that I'm so sorry for the people in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and that hasn't been really mentioned here. So I want to talk about land equity, water equity, okay, and what occurred over there, in my opinion, okay, was actually genocide. That's a harsh word to say. But, the people that didn't ignore the blockades on the highways, they found safety.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when there's a fire, John, and you need water for let's say your apartment complex, okay, and the fire department says, well, you don't have enough water equity to put out that douse the building hell. Now, how do you get water equity? Do you know? I haven't,
that to me is really baffling. I mean, how do you? I never heard of that.
But you're hearing it now from these people over there in Hawaii as they burnt to death. And just so people understand how sad this is, a little boy burned to death, hugging his dog in his house.
Jeez.
And that's how his parents found him. So that's not a gruesome thing, that somebody could allow that to happen and then not give people access, not give them an alarm, and then not give them the tool. The most important tool to put out that fire is water.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's already been a lawsuit, by the way.
You think forget the lawsuit.
Yeah.
This is about a land grab. That's my opinion, John. I'm going to leave you with that because, see, there's a lot of things in this country that are going on that you've never seen before. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Right. Kind of strange, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. That's all I'm going to leave you with.
Thanks for the call, Craig. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes, this is my third call in, and it's not and the last two gentlemen that called was Craig and Bob, and I want to respond to what they said, but then talk about what I wanted to talk. I won't take a long time, but anyway, regarding the Maui fires, Lahaina, steel frames of cars melted into puddles of goo. Now, steel melts at 2750 Fahrenheit. That's 1,510 Celsius. Forest fires at their hottest, brush fires at their hottest, wildfires at their hottest, grass fires, that supposedly was a grass fire, they burn at 800 degrees Celsius. That's 1,472 degrees. So there's no way that brush fires melted car steel frames. Aluminum body, the auto body, the aluminum auto body, yeah, sure, but not the steel frame. So, yeah, there's definitely something going on there that doesn't look right. There's something really smelly in Denmark, But regarding what Bob had said, I see two people that came out of that debate, and I see a winning combination. Ron DeSantis, who is a provable doer, and that upstart Vivek Ramaswamy is his running mate for 2024 and 2028, and we'll have Vivek Ramaswamy. Why not? He's a man of color. He's a very intelligent guy. He loves America. He's pro-Constitution. He would make a great president, but he needs to be tempered by experience. Regarding a person that would ride through a town in excess of the speed limit, knowing that there's a cop nearby, he's going to get pulled over, and then he gets pulled over. That shows bad judgment. But there's a 19th century president that was pulled over with his horse and buggy, President Ulysses Simpson Grant. And it was the first black chief of police that pulled him over 2 times. He gave him a warning, and then the 3rd time he arrested him. And this guy who reported this as a blogger, his moniker is critical race theory with a K, right? He's a smart dude. He's a real smarty pants, this guy. But he's saying President Trump, nobody's above the law, and this President Trump's been arrested yet again by a black man. Well, what's he been arrested for? For contesting the 2020 election, which was stolen, by the by. You're allowed to contest it in a free America, I thought.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
That's right. No, you're allowed to contest it. Yeah. So he didn't do anything. To me, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he said to a guy, "Give me 11,000 votes." Well, he didn't go to the voting machine and try to get 11,000 votes. He just said to I need 11,000 votes. Yes. What's criminal about that? That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Right, and also about abortion. I mean, okay, we can't push the issue of abortion, but life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life. Yeah, are you saying it, or are you just throwing out some words? Life, pro-life, being for liberty, being for happiness. A little baby being destroyed in the womb of its mother, that's not a life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
Where can we start, man? You know where we start? Taxpayers will not support abortions. We will not support Planned Parenthood. We will not. That's our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We will stand our ground there. You love abortion. I was almost going to cuss. I'm sorry. You pay for it, ass clown. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, John. You should keep your hand on the button, Chris. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Kind of wrapping up hour number 2. We'll have some final thoughts after these words.
Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company. When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Joe Yakovich is warming up in the WPG bullpen, and he is chomping at the bit to get on here. In fact, we may have you sing happy birthday to him. I may do that. Is it his birthday? Well, it was this week. He's 1 years old. Okay. He's younger than me, which he will tell you very clearly. So I'll tell you before he does. All right? Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. DJ in Summers Point. Good morning, DJ. Welcome to the show.
How you doing today, John?
Good. How about you?
I'm great. Don't have to defend myself.
No, not today.
I'm feeling good, buddy. Feeling great.
That's good.
And this is my first call. On the debate, I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. There was the greatest episodes of Green Acres on Channel 2 that night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I love Ava Gabor.
So do I. So do I.
What a classy lady.
Yes.
And, of course, Arnold the Pig's nice, too.
Yeah.
But I did read a little bit about it. But first debates are first debates. Did good, didn't do good, was okay, somewhere in the middle. Every candidate that was on that stage is going to have their handler say, hey, this is what we picked up from the first debate.
Yeah.
If you remember when the Democrats got on the stage the first time, the vice president kind of had her way with Biden.
Yeah, yeah.
Beat him up pretty good.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Didn't she?
Yeah.
But things change. And if DeSantis was a little not strong in certain areas, I don't know, but his handler say, "Look, this is what we got to do." It's like you're training a fighter.
Yeah,
you got to watch this, you got to watch that, and I'm sure the second and third debates will be a lot different. This morning in the first hour, and I apologize, I didn't catch the first hour, but usually every Saturday I play 18 before I go home. Summers Point. Did you see what happened in Summers Point Thursday night?
No.
They were one reading away from allowing marijuana to be sold in the town.
Yeah.
It got shot down. They found that it was in violation of city ordinance as far as planning and stuff like that, where the shops could go.
Yes.
So it created a situation. The council meeting was Thursday night, City Hall in Summers Point. The place was packed. with opposition to them proceeding any further with the allowing sales in Summers Point. So it was basically done away with, put on the back shelf, so to speak. And I will say this, and I don't go to many city council meetings. City council conducted themselves very politely. They weren't sarcastic. They just decided to basically let it die. And they gave everybody an opportunity that wanted to speak against marijuana and the ordinance, the right to do so. And so that's not coming up again anytime soon.
Good.
And you mentioned it 2 Saturdays ago, Ocean City.
Yes.
They're going to get their raise.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
It was in the paper, and there was hardly any opposition. In fact, there was a lot of support from the audience on that. So the mayor's going to get his and the council people.
Boy.
So that's at.
He needs the money, you know.
I heard what you said about his wealth. It's not quite that, but you know, nobody in Ocean City is getting in line
for welfare. Yeah, you're right.
And you can get it. Oh, by the way, you can get a property in Longport for $410,000.
You can? What is it? A closet?
But it's only a shed.
Yeah.
But it's a double wide shed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's about what you get. DJ, thanks for the call. Sarah, you're on with Talk with a Purpose.
Yes. Good morning. I hope all is well.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I think Trump should have went to the debate because it would show his platform more across to more people. I think if they did go to the debate, they would just have the ground rules. There cannot be any questions or anything relating to any charges, which are trumped up, no pun intended. They're overblown, and it's saying, well, you can't disagree with something that goes on in America. I used to believe all the diatribe and all that was said, but my eyes have opened, and I think that he is being persecuted to the fullest extreme, and this is a disgusting thing that's happened to him. People looking at the United States is probably saying, what kind of kangaroo system are we having here?
Yes.
And that email bandit Pecker, whatever his name is, no one is making me say this. No one is paying me to say this. I've wised up to truth because we are in a sad shape under Joe Biden, and he has done nothing.
That's
nothing,
right.
And it's
That's
very
right.
distressing. This state, we have to make America great again. We have to.
That's right.
Or we're doomed.
That's right.
We're doomed.
That's right. I agree with you, Sarah. Thanks for the call. Real quick, Ginny in Absecon. Ginny, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. I believe Donald Trump won the debate, and he didn't even have to go.
That's right.
And I was very impressed with Vivek Ramaswamy. And DeSantis did better than I thought, but he still comes across as weak compared to Trump. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Thanks for the call. Well, we got it all in. And then there's Joe Yakovich coming up in hour number 3. Oh, boy. Oh. Well, look, what can I tell you except the debate, and there's going to be another one September 27th. Many say it's for the vice presidency, although that doesn't apply to Chris Christie, certainly. We'll see. Maybe DeSantis, maybe Tim Scott, maybe, I don't know. It's really up in the air. But again, the Republicans have to do a better job of selling their program and what they're going to do. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Hour number 2 is in the books. Hour number 3, the Joe Yakovich Hour, on the way. Don't go away.
95.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square Media station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hour number 3 is affectionately known as the Joe Yakovich Hour.
I like that. It rhymes.
Yeah.
You know, I know that guy.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
So, do you want the audience to sing happy birthday to you?
No,
what?
Just the fact that you acknowledged it, that's, I couldn't be happier.
Well, come on. I mean, if somebody wants to call in and sing happy birthday to you,
like it a bottle
we
of
welcome
wine,
that.
Right? Absolutely, John.
By the way, thank you for the wine.
Yes, that's my gift to you and
What is
Chris.
this called?
This is Brunella.
Okay.
We did a bottling last week, and we bottled about 8 barrels of wine, and we my group took home about 4 barrels of wine, which in my case was about 40 cases or so, and you are tasting the finest.
Okay. There's something about
free.
The name like Yakovich.
Yes,
making an Italian wine.
It's actually a French grape, but that's another story. I am part of a group of gentlemen. We call ourselves the Italian Men's Night Out Club, and we get together with 14 or so Italians, and I am a little bit of Italian, but.
You're 27%.
27, but
don't take more than credit.
But I do my part, and we all work together, and it's a nice camaraderie with all of us together, and we make wine and smoke cigars and eat. So that's a good combination.
Sounds good. Well, anyway, hope you enjoyed your birthday.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, Chris.
I'm sure that everyone gave you many gifts.
Yep,
and you had thousands of happy birthdays on Facebook. I mean, you're just
fun. It was fun. It was an enjoyable time. The time I spent, my family was in to visit me, and it was a lot of fun last week, and we enjoyed ourselves. So thank you very much for that.
I was mentioning on my show, and I said that you're going to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
The average sale of a home today is $430,000.
Right.
I mean, that is unbelievable. So, before we get started, what do you mean, or what does it mean? Home sales plunging and demand is vanishing? Is that what's going on, or what?
Yeah, but when I meet people, John, in all walks of life, I'm having different conversations with them, and I read different informations from different sources. So I don't just look at the media news. I'm gathering information for my own practice and for people I can have a conversation with. And we're big believers of debt consolidation, debt-free retirement. I don't think everyone listening is in a position to, retire comfortably, outlive their income is a big concern of mine. And because of real estate being a major component and people trying to survive with even paying the rent today, it's gotten out of hand, and the real estate market has changed dramatically. It changes on a dime, and unfortunately, you've seen some significant increases in interest rates, and this is not going away. Powell's going to continue to hike this, to do whatever he can to lower inflation. And I say inflation, everybody talks about, John, and we talked about this even before it started to really occur and smack us in the face. I'll give you a prime example. I don't know where they come up with 4, 5, 6, whatever number they want to tag on there, excluding a bunch of things that we take, part of our daily life. But I was in, again, one of my favorite stores, the superstore, Walmart or Acme or whatever the store is, and I get this same boring, the most inexpensive body wash that you can possibly buy. I mean, the cheapest.
Yes.
And the cheapest at the time I thought was pretty good. I get the stuff that smells a little kind of dainty for me.
Yeah.
And it's $1.99. And I've been buying it for $1.99, John. I can't even tell you when I can't remember when it wasn't $1.99. And I went in the other day. Not that I needed more of it. I just said, I always go in there and I pick up 1 or 2 of them. You know what the number was? It was $5.99.
What?
$5.99. By the way, for those of you who don't know the calculation, that's 150% increase. 150% increase.
Well, when was it $1.99?
It was $1.99 probably, and no kidding, even right into the COVID era. From that point over the last year or so, give or take, it skyrocketed to $5.99. Same stuff. So I have to think to myself, am I not going to clean myself? Am I not going to use this? I can't find other, liquid soaps that would do and spend the numbers. So it's really interesting for me, and luckily for me, and I'm able to afford this, but the average person on a fixed income, I mean, what are they paying for groceries? Think about the numbers today. It's outrageous. So I've heard your, prior to me coming on today about the parties of fighting and they're talking and all this other stuff. And it's discouraging because I'm talking about money, and at the end of the day, I have to concern my client.
Money's important.
Correct. The most to me. And I focus on that more than anything else. And it's sad because I see more and more of this happening, and real estate's one of those. And I give you all statistics, but really 60% of the people in America don't have enough money to last through their retirement. And this is the survey taken. So you need to understand the surveys I go after, 27% are not confident of their money lasting as long as they will. Now, we, as a consumer, we're not asking the right questions of our financial professionals. Forget our politicians. We're not asking the right questions. Will I have enough to retire? What happens to the market implodes with some of these stocks? What am I going to get for free to PPP, and am I going to continue to get that? Is it going to be stopped? And how much interest will I get or not get on my money as I move into the, in the future for my retirement plan? But real estate plays a major component. You're well aware of that. Yeah. You and I both live in this particular area, so we know. But let me explain to you, and let me share with you, John, that prices have dropped month to month from peak of June 22 days on the market. Homeowners with a 3% mortgage, which, believe it or not, there's a lot of folks out there that have a 2.5 to 3% mortgage. They're starting to shrink the market because they're not going to give that house up regardless what they had increased. But the fact of the matter is, you get a 2.5, 3% mortgage. Where are you going with a 7 or 8% mortgage? So there's a big concern of that market, of the folks not putting their homes on the market, first or second buyers. And I'm going to have a caller to call us about what is he experiencing in the market, because I love to talk to realtors in this region, because I have, this region we work in on our radio show, and I also have the region in the Cayman County, Philadelphia area to get their view. But at the end of the day, these prices of real estate has starting to kind of teeter because people are not selling. And because when they do look for other real estate, like you just said, the prices are outrageous.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let's say I'm in the market to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
And you normally need like 20% down.
Mm-hmm.
So if the average home is $430,000, that means I need $86,000 to put as a down payment. And where am I getting that?
Correct. And there's a lot of folks out there that cannot feel, and they understand this, that it's no longer 2 or 3 or 4%. And they go, well, remember back in the 70s and all these other things? I said, yeah, I remember back in the 70s or 80s. Yeah, the rate was extremely high, but you also got an 18% CD. You don't have an 18% CD. You have 5 or 6% stuff. Now it's 5 or 6%. So remember that number. And the biggest concern for us, besides what is happening, is that price stability. We don't have price stability. We still have a government that spends like drunken sailors.
Yeah.
We must stop that first. I don't care who's in office, Republican, Democrat, I don't care who it may be. That is a must, because if we don't, we're going to have major havoc in the future. See, no one thinks about the future. They think about just today. Guess what? This is going to eventually catch up to us. And the only reason why, $32 trillion in debt. John, I don't think people realize what that means. That's 12 zeros. That's going to cost everyone in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, healthcare in general, and you tack on the issue of real estate. Let me give you some quick numbers here, John, for last month, July alone. Year over year, seasonal adjusted annual rates, sales fell 16% compared to the prior of 2018, 24%, 2019, 24.5%. 2021, 32%. So it's starting to make the cracks happen. So we're waiting, and this is the wait and see. For those of you that don't need second homes or ones that are trying to buy, it will eventually be in a price range that you're starting to feel that you're able to afford that. But the problem we're still with, John, we talked about this before, is inflation. How do you draw down inflation? They want to change the target from 2% to 3%. That's havoc. And people don't understand a lot of this stuff is going to be rolling off coming soon, that we're going to pay more in debt service against our debt. Think about it. The interest alone is somewhere about $600 billion. When this rate rolls over, it might cost us close to $1 trillion just to service the $32 trillion that we have put out there. So people need to be aware of this and how it will affect them, and you're seeing it right now.
All right, Joe Yakovich is here. Joe is JML Financial, his website, jmlfinancialgroup.com. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. If you have a question for Joe, 609-407-1450 is the number here, 609-407-1450. We'll give out the title of Joe's books in just a couple of minutes. But back to my question.
Sure.
So if I want to buy a home.
Correct.
I really am shut out of the market.
Well, not necessarily, because I'm sure we have realtors that have connections with their investors. They're going to be buying that property today at cash. I mean, it's amazing how much cash is being flushed in the system. It's a cash buyer's delight today. And you're going to be talking about a real estate guy that has people that are talking to them. They're no more. What has been happening is when you do the 20% down play, someone comes behind that individual and says, listen, I'll do the deal for $20,000 more, cash on cash, I'll close in 2 weeks. And they're going, what? Automatically, they are the ones that are going to be buying that property, not the 20% downers.
Oh, okay. So then that investor would sell that to me?
Could, or guess what? He might buy it for himself to rent it or own it himself as a second home. So you're seeing cash play come into place, and because of this flush of money, number one. And number two, remember, if we look back over the last 10 years, the market has done very well for those folks. 10 years ago, now those people are in a situation where they have a bunch of money. What are they going to do with it? They don't believe the market. They believe the problem we're faced with is volatility, and because of what we're talking about, the political fighting that's going on, they don't trust the market like they used to. And you're seeing companies, IPOs that are initial public offering that are going up and within a very short period of time are imploding. You know, they might be worth $30, $40, $50, and all of a sudden they're worth 27 cents. Yeah. And these companies are imploding, and they're not buying revenues. They're not buying cash flow. They're buying the hype up of some of these stocks, and they have to be concerned, especially going into retirement. Not a good idea.
So it is possible then, what you're saying, that I could get a home.
Correct.
Be
patient.
Yes.
You're going to have to be a little bit more impatient than you like, because that's the problem. We're going to start to see more homes hit the market eventually. We're seeing right now in our area, people are now leaving, the area where I talked about, Philadelphia and those surrounding areas, and say, you know what, I'm getting ready to retire. Don't forget, fast forward this. They're saying, you know what, I'm going to buy a place down the shore.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And you see supply and demand. So that will come down the road. But again, it's a waiting game, John. It's a patient game of wait. Go ahead.
Greg in Absecon is on the line. And Greg, you're on with Joe Yakovich here on Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, Greg.
Mr. Massey, good morning. Mr. Yakovich, this is a fast question, and it's really off the wall. Has anybody ever sat down and figured out how many generations we've bought into already or borrowed into?
Oh. That's a great question, Greg. We've been borrowing our eyeballs. I mean, this is going back about Clinton when it really took off. I mean, even right about the Ronald Reagan era, it wasn't pretty suppressed. But we have been promising folks, and I don't have to tell you, even the Bushes, they have run havoc with medical and so forth. We really have to get a handle on this. And a problem we're faced with, people don't want to just face it right up. This is going to implode to us. We're going to have to be forced to either cut something, increase something, because when the Trump tax cuts go away at the end of 2025, it's all out, what it used to be prior to that tax bracket. So I'm always talking to people about taxes and how do I incorporate taxes and how do I save you enough money doing some debt consolidation so you can afford a home. And you're not going to, have this big home, and you've heard this 1,000 times, house rich and cash poor. And it's a concern of ours. We're starting to see and hope to see price stability, but you now see inflation and you're seeing a tight labor market. But again, it's like going back and watching a movie, the Looney Tune movie from the old, Looney Tunes. You remember those movies?
Yeah.
They used to fly all over the place. And I feel the same way with the market. It's so much uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what to believe today. That never was the case 20 years ago. It wasn't. Now, what do you believe? It really is not a good place for us to be right now.
All right, Greg, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. We are coming up on our first break of the hour here. It's Talk with a Purpose, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Joe Yakovich is here, and Joe is trying to solve all our financial problems in the next 40 minutes or so. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. I'm John DeMasi. Joe and I will return with more of the show after these words.
Want to save money in these inflationary times? Write this number down. 855-910-1246. 855-910-1246. Text your number to that number and you'll be part of BF Mazzio's Text Message Club, where you'll receive specials and coupons that will save you money. BF Mazzio, the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. Gift baskets, catering for all occasions, and more. 601 New Road, Northfield. Online at bfmazzio.com.
Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company. When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, Joe Yakovich is our guest, and he's here a couple times a month to straighten us out with our finances. And we'll get his realtor in just a moment. But first, Joe, you want to give out your books?
Yeah, John, I believe everyone should at least have a book before they speak with me. We have authored a couple of books. One, Getting Down the Mountain, The Heart of Your Money, Bulletproof Your Retirement, and Wealth Beyond Taxes for Healthcare Professionals and in general. And I truly believe they're simple reads. They're about 40 to 60 minutes of reading material, some graphs and what have you, but it's real simple, fundamental approach on how to do this long term. See, we're starting this new program called Debt for Life. and debt-free for life. So we're using a strategy with what we talk to people about how to get out of debt faster. Now, this is a little bit different than Dave, but this is something where at the end of the duration, if somebody has at 18, 19 years to pay off their debt, we can do it almost in 6 or 7 or 8 years. I mean, it's not a fly by hand. It's not any of this fancy stuff. It's just a systematic way using AI and digitally conversations with the client and with us together. So when one debt gets paid off, the next debt gets paid off. And it's a snowball effect. We call it snowballing your debt down. And what we found with people, it doesn't matter who they are, they could have credit cards, they can have student loans, they can have car payments, they can have mortgages. And I'm doing a program for a bunch of the real estate agencies, and it's finding out that, you know what, a lot of people are in debt, which it's not a proud thing to, stand up and say, oh, I'm in a lot of debt. They'll talk about, I have money or do this, I'm doing a market, but you never had anybody that would, come out and say, oh yeah, I got a ton of debt. Not a good thing. So if we can get that off the table, more people can pay their debt down, save more money. And if that's the case, buy more real estate. That would be another idea. So we're gung-ho with this, and we're using our books to be able to educate people. So for those of you that are listening, by all means, call in the show and ask for someone or one of our books, and we'd be more than happy to send it out to you.
So that number is 609-407-1450 if you want to call in. Just ask for the books. Chris will take your name and number, and then Joe's office will contact you and you got the books. Okay?
You got it.
It's that simple. We have a guest on the line, and Joe, you're very familiar with this gentleman, Al Casanova is here, and he is a realtor. And Al, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Al.
Hey, John, Joe, how are you guys? Actually, Joe and I went to dinner last night. You mentioned the debt-free concept, and him and I are going to have lunch next week to really explore that. That's something I think everybody should definitely look into. But so I didn't hear the first part of your show, unfortunately. Have you guys been talking about real estate, or do you have any questions about real estate?
I'll make it easy for you, because we were having this conversation, and I was not necessarily shocked, but you and I had a conversation about cash buyers and investors reacting to all this, and having the market kind of neutralized because of the folks that have low mortgage rates, and people are trying to go into the market, either second homes or primary homes. Where are you finding, because it's a kind of a clash, it's kind of a standoff here where the market's at, and you're not seeing some of that in your marketplace. So I want to hopefully share with us what you're seeing. You're on ground level. You're right in the weeds with what's going on locally. So share with the audience, if you could, Al, what you see that's happening in the marketplace in this region.
Okay, well, it's two-pronged, right? Our area's primary residences, which is the mainland, Northfield, Mays Landing, Linwood, that's considered the mainland, right? And then you have the secondary home buyer market, which is down the shore, anywhere from, Cape May to Barnegat, by the shore, waterfront, whatever. And they're typically second home buyers. Those second home buyers have a lot of discretionary cash. I don't know where they're getting it, but they're coming in, buying properties, cash, no mortgages. So the 7%, 6.5%, 8.5%, whatever the percentage goes to, they could care less because they're buying it cash. Now, what they're planning on doing down the line, maybe they're going to put on a home equity line when interest rates drop down to maybe 4%, 5%, 6%, and use some of the money to buy other stuff or invest, whatever. But currently I'm seeing, I think it's up to like 67% of my buyers that come into the market are cash. So I'm cash heavy with buyers, and all price points, 200, 800, 1.7, they're all over the place. And that's what I'm seeing. Secondary home market buyers are predominantly cash purchasers.
Interesting.
Now, Al, I have a question, and I'll ask the same question I asked to Joe. With the average price of a home today being around $430,000, how can first-time home buyers, and we're talking in our audience, probably children and grandchildren, how are they going to afford a home? Because you're talking cash buyers, and that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, well, it's a great question.
How are they going to afford a home?
Well, let's do the math, right? Let's take $400,000 as a base number because the math is easy.
Yes.
To borrow on a $400,000 house now at 7%. Let's just throw some numbers out there. It's $2,800 a month, and then it's your taxes and insurance on top of that. So that buyer at $400,000 has got to be able to afford about a $3,500 a month mortgage payment. I guarantee that $400,000 house, if it was on the market for rent, would be almost the same money to rent it. That's how crazy rents went through the roof in the last 6-8 months as well. So a buyer's left with a choice. Do I sit out and wait till the market dips, if at all, and rent? Or do I get enough money for a down payment, which is typically 3.5%. There's USDA loans that are no money down, by the way. You don't need any money out of your pocket to get a property if it's USDA loan. Or a VA loan if you're a vet. They have very, very attractive rates for veterans as well. So first-time home buyers, there's also grants available from the state, from the county, even the city. Some cities, like Atlantic City specifically, has their own grant program on top of a state program that will give buyers up to $10,000 in grant money to go towards their down payment or, closing costs, whatever. So that's a way that a first-time home buyer can take advantage of what's out there available to them, is to use those programs to help them purchase a property. And let's say that some of it's $10,000, $20,000. That's enough.
Yeah.
With 5% down and then, some closing costs, whatever. You could actually walk into a house with those home grants with basically your, couple grand, $3,000, $4,000. That's it.
Yes.
So that's how it's affordable for first-time home buyers. The state and feds actually offer first-time home buyer grants that help them. And we've done it. We just did another one 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We got somebody into a house with a home grant. So they're out there.
Okay. So it is possible then. I just wanted to make sure that it's possible to buy a home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Now, give your...
it's challenging, but possible. Yes.
Okay.
Now, give everybody your call numbers, please.
Sure. 609-338-9588. That's 609-338-9588.
That's Al Cash, yeah.
Yes. Ed, please call me. I can answer any questions your listeners may have and hopefully guide them into home ownership.
This guy, Al, he is all over the place, really. Every time I'm talking to him, I'm surprised you're taking a break. But, he really works it.
Right now.
Right. So he's
in
working.
between.
No, he works it, and I like that. I mean, Al's a hard-working guy. I've known him, pretty much for probably close to 40 years, give or take. But,
yeah.
And, he's hardworking, and you gotta love what he does and what he stands for. He works with a great company. There's local. He's got an office in Brigantine. He's got an office in Northfield. Matter of fact, up the street from where we're broadcasting today, John. But, you need a person, a good guy that really looks at both buyers and sellers. And believe me when I'm saying to you, it's a tough job to do that because there's a lot of different things he get thrown. He might be ready to do a deal, and all of a sudden somebody comes in behind him and says, no, we're going to give you $20,000 more, cash deal. What do you do? And he's got to walk away from the deal. So there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of due diligence involved. And what we do is we work together collaboratively, his firm and us. So I'm happy that you were able to call in now. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And looking forward to that lunch to talk about the debt-free approach.
And Joe's paying, right?
Of course.
Well, that's another story, John. That's another show.
Okay. Al, thanks. Right. Thanks for calling in.
Brother.
So I'm encouraged that it's possible to get a home in today's market.
Yeah, it's a feeling out process. If you have cash, it's one thing. If you're selling a property to do another, correct. If cash obviously is king right now. Again, when these rates eventually subside, and it will, it's a patient game. It's a waiting game, so to speak. So we're concerned. I mean, I'd like to see more buyers and sellers in the marketplace. It encourages at least growth in all areas. But again, it's the price stability. It's labor cost. It's someone that has a job, goes to another job. It's really a function of a lot of different things. But we do our best to, help them with that, either money-wise, down payment-wise, or where they should be putting their retirement besides their home. So it's part of our job.
Al said that it's still a seller's market, and
correct.
He was talking about a lot of his cash buyers. That's a different story, but in general, are you seeing down the line, talking about maybe 6 months to a year, are you seeing prices come down or this market?
I see the pressure of coming down a little bit because of the simple reason that mortgage payments or mortgage rates will start to come down. Now, this is the law. Remember what has happened because of the, immediately from 2%, and we got gorged to, almost 500 basis points. So you're at 7-8%, assuming you have good credit. So there is the sticking point. High mortgage rates. But if you remember, John, back in the day, that 4 or 5% was a norm, kind of thing. And we saw even higher than that. But unfortunately, our incomes didn't go up as quickly as we like, and the homes are even pricier than they are today. So, but again, I'm a big advocate when I do sit down with a buyer or seller, depending on their situation. You need to look at just not the mortgage rate. You need to look at the taxes. And taxes are a big play here. You look at the upkeep in the property. Regardless if it's new or old, this is not as simple. Just go in and let's let it hopefully to work. And if you do make a move to another state like Florida, hypothetically, if you move there, hey, you might go there and say, oh, I don't really like this heat. And I really miss my children in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Why did I do that? So there's a lot of questions that we do sit down with people before they make that move. And that's a function of, me personally and my firm being very holistic on the approach of that. Because it's not a one-shot deal and such and go away. It's more complicated than that today.
We are coming up on a break, and we're going to talk to John in Ocean City, and maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. Joe Yakovich is here. Joe is JML Financial, his website, jmlfinancialgroup.com, and he is giving us some sound financial advice, and will continue to do that after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon, humid with times of clouds and sunshine, high up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 67. Intervals of clouds and sunshine tomorrow, but grab an umbrella. We've got a shower in spots, could be your spot. Humid with a high 84 to wrap the weekend. And come Monday, not as warm but humid, clouds and sunshine, high 77. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, Joe Yakovich is our guest. Joe is JML Financial, website jmlfinancialgroup.com. Check that out. A lot of good stuff on there. And if you want to reach Joe during the week, 856-751-1771. That's the number. Actually, you talk to Lynn. Okay? That's who you talk to when you call that number.
Exactly.
All right?
You know.
I mean,
how it works.
You know this drill. 856-751-1771. That's his number during the week. Let's talk to John in Ocean City. John, you're on with Joe Yakovich.
Morning, John.
Yeah. First of all, happy belated birthday, Wyman. I don't know.
Yes, that's good enough. Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool. Great. I'm reading here, of the $31.4 trillion that we owe in national debt, fiscal national debt, about $24.5 trillion, or 78%, was debt held by public, representing cash borrowed from domestic or foreign investors. Okay, how about we just tell them no, we ain't paying it? We'll declare jubilee. Say our debt's been canceled. We ain't paying. We'll practice good old fashioned non-cooperative civil disobedience. No. I mean, come on, man.
I like
that.
I thought about that, John, many times. Believe me, when I say that to you, I'm not paying you. What are you going to do about it? It's like, so I get that. What do you do?
I want to ask you, though,
sure.
I'll take my answer off the air. How do you feel about investing, and how would you encourage a person to invest? Thanks.
John, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, what you said is a lot of areas we go. I mean, right now we have a high prices. They're really relative earnings that are, even the S&P 500, it's about 20 right now in terms of price to earnings ratio. I mean, we need to position ourselves right now. We're a little concerned because of the bullish in the market, but we're seeing a pullback in this market. So it will be a time to do your due diligence to look at individual companies to buy. I mean, so just don't just buy them for the sake of, because it's been propped up by some, celebrity. Really look at the earnings on the companies. And what we're seeing some potential opportunities moving forward in the next 2 to 4 months to 5 months, because the jury's still out of what's going to happen in, obviously 2024. But, people, there are two type of people, John, and you're can relate to one of them. You have the first type of person. These are the people that have made money. They're the ones that have money. And their biggest concern, believe it or not, before we get to the estate plan, is that they have money, and what they're focusing for themselves is not to lose that money. And then the other type of folks you have is these are the people that want money. And they want how the people in the beginning that have money, how did they do it? So for me, when I'm teaching or talking, giving information to people, I'm dealing with both sides of the coin. I'm dealing with people that have money and made money and how they did it, and people that want to know how those people did it. Sometimes it's called discipline. It's a tough word. It's a tough word.
Yes,
think about it.
Yes,
I was raised different than most. I got spanked if necessary. That's like absurd today. So in the financial world, it's the same way. You need to be disciplined, and you need to look at a number of things, especially inflation, especially with taxes, and especially now because of the uncertainty in the marketplace. That's a real big problem for most people.
All right, 609-407-1450 if you have a question for Joe. 609-407-1450. We're going to talk about 8 estate issues you want to make sure before you enter retirement, and we'll go over these quickly, Joe.
Yep.
What are they?
Let's get into it right away, John. Let's make sure, when I ask people, as soon as I meet them, if we have the first opening conversation, you got to get a will to avoid any type of probate issues.
And I'll bet you 70% say they don't have a will.
You're absolutely true. You're right. You're point on. It's amazing. Or they say, "Oh yeah, I have a will." One hasn't been updated. I said, "Well, first of all, they look at me and say, well, when my daughter was 3 or 4, I go, how old is she now?
37.
She's 35. So you can see they're a little low in the game, a little slow in the game. So that's the first thing, especially not a big problem in New Jersey with probate, but you want to make sure everything you own, touch, that your name is on it, it's subject to probate in New Jersey.
Okay, number 2?
Number 2, protecting your assets against something that nobody wants to talk about. The long-term care, which is doable. Long-term care, John, I mean, think about it. It costs in this particular area, I don't care who you are, male or female, you're talking anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000. So
a month, right?
A month, yes, sir. A month.
Whoa.
My apology. Yes,
Whoa.
A month. And that's for only one person, John. So what happens to the next spouse? So if you're married and the husband, which in the marriage, most of the time, the husbands are the first ones that have this problem, the wife will do everything in their power to make sure they're being taken care of. But after the first person, the spouse, passes, what's left over for the second spouse? So you need to have a conversation, the tough conversations that I have with people about estate planning. And one is making sure you have your health care. And it doesn't necessarily mean long-term care, but I need to understand, or they need to understand, what the cost will be and could be for their family, unless they have an extra $300,000 to spit into that thing. And that is a big concern of ours also.
Okay. Estate planning. What is that?
The biggest thing, John, when I deal with estate planning is a holistic approach. You need to have clients that have either looking at an estate planning attorney, an elder care attorney, a tax person, either a CPA or what have you, or someone like myself part of that group. And remember, there's a 5-year look back. So I'm dealing with a case now where the woman, I've done some work with her 2 years ago. Well, guess what happened? She is now going into a facility. Guess what? That money, and she never did any estate planning. And I once you said a number of times, you need to have, or at least start this process to start the time on the 5-year look back. Because there is a 5-year look back. You can start to take some of your assets to either give away or put them into certain trusts, which we'll talk about, that would behoove you from the government and or the nursing home by taking it.
So is she going to lose some of her money?
Well, what's going to happen with her?
Is it vulnerable to being lost?
Yes, a portion that is vulnerable. A portion of the money has to be now basically spit out over a period of years. But she doesn't have enough money to cover the cost of the nursing home or the facility that she's staying in. And there's the problem. And I'm already in conversation with the attorney, but the folks, and I've said this many, many times, they put it off, they put it off, they put it off. And what happens is when this blows up, and luckily for her, her husband passed, it's a major issue, especially with the kids if they expect any inheritance, which I don't think they're going to get, because remember, the house is exposed. Now the attorney said, let's put that into, a trust to do the look back, 5-year look back. What if she doesn't pass within that 5 years? That money's drawn back into the estate. So again, it's a major issue. So you need to have those people in place helping and coordinating with everything that's taking place in their lives.
Okay, what's your fourth issue dealing with estate planning?
It's never too late to do damage control, John. Remember, one thing to note with long-term care, thinking a trust is good for you. Now, remember something. I don't want people just to leave here and go out and buy a trust. I'm not saying that. But I need folks to look at, because it's somewhat self-controlled. If you have an irrevocable trust, which basically says you put that money into a position, and you might, or in this case, you won't be able to touch the principal. So if you're doing it in your 50s and 60s, if you want to touch the money, you can touch the interest off the money, but not the money itself. You need to be at least speaking with a team of experts to allow that individual to make sure that they know the rules and regulation of putting dollars into a trust. Now, if you're in your 70s plus, not a bad idea to put some of your money into a trust. So I would definitely believe that should be one of their things, especially with clients that have a home and have assets.
Let's jump to the fifth issue on your list. What is that?
Now, I said early trust and basic planning is great, but there's a limit here. The power of irrevocable trust in the estate planning process are often eager to do, because it's an immediate action that you think, because you don't want to lose the ability to tap into principal. Remember that. So just don't do it just for the sake of doing it. You might do it or might not do it, and might happen way too early. So sit down with somebody, as I said before, and really get an idea, a bird's eye view on what options that you have. I can only take or do a little bit of this. I'm always bringing in an estate planning attorney or an elder care attorney, and I coordinate with that person. That person either knows me, I know that person, I know how they think, they know what I do, and it works out fine. But if you don't have those couple of folks, being the estate planning attorney or elder care attorney, and if you don't have a financial person that understands the other areas that they need to be talking to the client about, and don't have a good tax person, a CPA or a tax expert, this falls apart. And the purpose, you're giving him enough time to be able to sit down with you, and it's a slow process, John. This is not a overnight.
I know.
It takes, and you know what I'm talking about here.
So, number 6 on the issue for estate planning.
John, a lot of people this has happened to with me, and it was out of my control. We have outdated beneficiary designations. It's common when married couples for a long time and the spouse is the IRA beneficiary. Well, that's good, but they may forget and change. If one spouse dies, that can lead to challenging probate. They could be paying more in taxes. Now think about it, John. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday. It was interesting. I said, you really understand, if something happens to me, you're going to be eligible certain dollars. But if nothing happened to me, and if I divorced you, there are also things that you need to be in play for. And we had this conversation, and it was, my wife is cool about it because she said, yeah, if you got married again, I said, I didn't get married again. After you, I'm done. I had enough of this. One time and I'm good. But, it's funny that we talk about it this way because I talk very openly to my wife. But at the end of the day, if you don't have plans in place, John, and I've had this happen, couple got married, long time relationship, marriage. The wife passed and the husband never changed the beneficiaries on their IRAs.
Yeah.
And what took place was he got married again and their two girls fought it in court that the father did not want to give any money to the kids. Major costs in terms of litigation in court, not a good thing. And I see that. So the biggest concern is, and I do this as much as I can, I do what they call a designation review, a beneficiary review. I make sure that their beneficiaries are in sound situation where the husband and wife are still located in terms of health wise, and they have backup contingent beneficiaries. So these are the little things that happen, but if you don't take care of it before it happens, then you see the raps of what's happening because the government don't care, the state don't care, they're taking.
That's right. Litigation is expensive, right?
Oh, Lord. And think about it, John. I was saying it the other day, and just doing a little case just recently, I gave the beneficiaries, and I said, what happens if you should pass, because you're taking a trip now, and you have two small children under the age of 15. If you make them a beneficiary, you need to have guardianship on that a part of your estate plan. What's guardianship? Just in case, who's going to take care of your two children with the money that, and this was a life insurance, the beneficiary, what they're going to get, and the two young folks are going to get the money. Well, I couldn't do that. I have to understand that the money has to come into a guardianship that would take care of the children, and there's a little bit of a planning process, and they don't think of it that way. Oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to make it. Okay, I hope you do too, forever. But my point is, you need to have documents, power of attorney, living will. These are the things that you need to sit down and ask the tough questions. And nobody wants to, John. Nobody wants to talk.
Oh, I know that.
They put it off. They put it off. And I do my best to get clients encouraged to ask the tough questions of me. And I actually encourage them that it's a necessity. Because we don't want to think about it, but when it happens, they're like, oh, and they're already thinking, and it's distressful.
Yeah.
I mean, really it is. It's amazing to me.
Okay, we have issues number 7 and 8, and we'll get to them after the break.
Okay.
Joe Yakovich is here. Joe is JML Financial, his website, jmlfinancialgroup.com. I'm your host, John DeMasi. Final thoughts with Joe Yakovich on hour number 3 of Talk with a Purpose after these words.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. Joe Yakovich is registered with, and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450 if you want to get in a quick call here to Joe Yakovich. If you want to talk to Joe during the week, 856-751-1771, 888-751-1771. That's his number, and he'll be happy to talk to you if you call in. We are talking about estate planning issues here, and we got number 7 and number 8. Let's go to number 7. What is that, Joe?
You know, John, everyone thinks estate plan is really complicated, and it is, and also costly, and it's not. You know, estate planning is just not for the elderly. They're for young people. And when I'm talking to young folks, again, I'm asking questions, the tough questions, about what they have going on for them. A simple will, power of attorney, living will. Simple things to make sure everything is done correctly. And you need to do that. That's part of my fiduciary responsibility because we have a lifestyle. It's really odd, but we have this beautiful lifestyle and we're not looking at some of the fundamentals of dealing. I'll give you an example. You drive this beautiful Lexus car, but you're not driving with ball tires.
No.
They might be good from the surface, but you know what? You're not driving ball tires. And these are the things that we want to make sure we complete when I'm dealing with clients, no matter who they are, individual, married, separated, divorced, single. It doesn't matter, male or female. They need to have, just in case, if something happens to them, for instance, who handles their money? Who handles their directive of healthcare situations? These are tough questions. Nobody wants to talk about it because the percentages are showing up, John. And only the biggest concern of mine and yours is that we don't pass early because of technology and healthcare itself. We live a lot longer than we ever thought about.
That's right.
So who's going to take care of us and who's going to get the money upon our demise? So it's a tough question that we do ask up front, and we believe that it really is a helpful tool when we're talking to people. The other thing I need people to be aware of, we just had a case here just recently, and and the government will come down on me, man. The state and the Fed, they come down. We had a woman doing her estate plan, doing some movement of money, just making sure that her income is going to last as long as she does. And she came to me and she said, I have a month, passed away. How long ago? And she said 3 years. And I was like, whoa, I hope it's under 3 years, because what happens is there's an RMD, required minimum distribution, that the mother was supposed to take and never took.
Oh.
And the settlement on she passed was going on 3 years, and they never took the RMD. I'm trying to straighten it out my best I can, but I'm talking a nightmare. If you have any idea, and when you're dealing with state and Fed in terms of RMD planning, this is not a cakewalk. This is a tough job.
Real quick, last estate planning issue.
John, I do my best to wrap everything up. Like I said, will, probate issues are not as much as you might think, but making sure even at a young age, you get a simple will, power of attorney, living will. These are the things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with a big law firm. Need something simple to the point. Because remember, John, what we talk about every single day besides the estate plan is that people's lifestyle for income always focuses around lifestyle. But if you think about it, John, we pay close to 40% in taxes, all of us. And every type of tax. By the way, for all the taxes you pay on, even your chewing gum tax. And then we have a bunch of money we pay with debt. We save very little money because of that concept. When we talk to people, we try to put that together for them clearly.
You have a busy September coming up.
Yes, sir. I have a number of, you want to mention some of the
Rowan, you're going to be at Rowan for a seminar on the 12th and the 14th?
Correct. Rowan in Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
And then Stockton on the 26th and the 28th.
You got it. And you can register on our website.
JMLFinancialGroup.com.
Correct.
And you have a podcast.
Our podcast is going strong with my son and I. We talk about on our platform, Heart of Your Money podcast, which is the original show that we started with. But remember, now we're going hard and strong in the debt-free for life concept, because we're realizing too much debt. How do I get rid of it as fast as possible so people can save more money to do the things they want to do, especially going into retirement? I don't want someone that have a bunch of debt going into retirement. Not a good play.
You and your son have fun on the podcast?
Oh, it's a blast, man. It's no more fun than we have together. But it's fun because he goes back and forth, brings in a different clientele, and he's focusing, believe it or not, she's spending some bucks personally for him for the debt-free for life because he's meeting folks that are 30 to 45 that have a lot of debt.
I know. And especially credit card debt, right?
Correct. Credit card, student loan. Doctors are, if you think about the doctors I deal with, they're up to their nose in debt. How do they get out of it as quickly as possible? So we help them.
My niece still has $30,000 in student loan debt. She's 42.
You. Okay. Now, don't forget, everybody thinks it's 6%. It's not 6%. If I show you the effective interest rate on it,
it's unbelievable.
It's like 30%. They're paying they're paying it to the banks.
That's right.
I get them to be the bank.
That's going to wrap up another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Thanks to Joe Yakovich here. Joe is JML Financial. His website, jmlfinancialgroup.com. You want to get on there and register for the seminars coming up in September, 2 at Rowan and 2 at Stockton. You want to check them out. They're really good seminars. I'm John DeMasi. Thank you for listening. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our program director and producer. Thanks to you for listening. We will do it all over again next week. Talk with a Purpose, Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. You take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.